If I go exceed your expectations, please refer me 3 clients. I invest my marketing dollars into the relationship. You could do things together as you start building your team. They could come in with absolutely no money and come away with a home. Who's Calvin? Okay, well. Okay, well, good morning. Good morning. So today we're just going to go ahead and how to make a schedule for your business. And so with that being said, we're going to design how to be a CEO, going from an agent to CEO, because I think what we really need is to think like a business owner. And from day one, when I got into business 20 years ago, I always thought like a business owner. And I've always heard that if you're going to work and treat this like a hobby, you're going to get hobby results. You treat your real estate business like a business and you'll get business results. I know many of you may have a primary job and you're doing real estate on the side, but regardless, if you are treating this like a real business and treating your business, real estate like a real business, you're going to get business results. And if you're anywhere in the Bay Area, Southern California, you know the commissions are a lot higher than the average around America. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to go right into this training. And those that have other businesses, I mean, I run 5 different businesses. My main business is real estate sales, and time blocking is super important. And so this is, I'm just going to get right into this right now. So before we get started, you know, if you don't know me, my name is Jeffrey De Jesus. I've sold over 500 homes in the San Francisco Bay Area personally, not with a team. My organization, my personal organization with over 300 agents, we do over $500 million a year. So we've been doing that for 8 years straight, ever since I started this organization. And so a lot of the agents that I work with are just solo agents. They work on their own. So I really get excited when agents build their business and they do solo, because when you're a solo agent, you really could do really well, right? You're not sharing your commissions, etc. But anyways, we could talk about that on a different topic. I have many videos on being a solo agent, but the problem is when agents get involved, they don't think like a CEO, and most agents live in reaction mode, constantly putting out fires, letting clients control their schedule, busy but not productive, inconsistent in income. It's all about just their hustle, and it's all about hustle and growth, right? So to shift from agent to CEO, well, you know, CEOs control their calendar. They prioritize revenue first. So I like to call that green time or income activities. And so CEOs build systems and not stress. Okay. And, you know, your system it could just be, I prospect in the morning from 9 to 10. And later in the afternoon, I do my appointment. I mean, you just have to have your system and your calendar together. And when you meet a client, you put them in the CRM, then you put them on an automatic drip system, or you have some way to follow up with them. Because a client does not just, because you're an agent, they're going to call you. You have to be top of mind when that happens, because there's hundreds, if not thousands, in your area of real estate agents, and you have to be on top of mind to that person. And even if you have Sphere, even if they're your brother, sister, mother, grandmother, that doesn't guarantee that they're going to call you. You still should reach out to them as if they weren't a family member. And sometimes, and you probably know this, some of you, is that family is sometimes the hardest to work with. And so that in my case, because I I had to earn, I think it took at least 10 years of successful selling real estate for a family member to do business with me. I know it sounds pretty wild, but I was one of the younger generations in my family, cousins. I have a big I have, I don't know, 50 cousins or so. So anyways, all right, well, CEO mindset. Think like a business owner. You're not just selling homes. You're running a business. Your time is your most valuable asset. For me, I value my time. I have, when I got involved in real estate in the early part, I was a single full-time dad from when she was 5 all the way until she was 18. Then she moved out. Yeah, so I had to value my time. And what I did was, in the beginning of my career, I sold real estate. I drove to Sacramento. I'm from the Bay Area. I went to Antioch. It didn't matter. I was just showing homes, right? And and then after maybe 4 years in the business, I said, I really need my time. So I just became a listing agent, and I just would list homes. And then those that wanted to write an offer on my listing, I would just double end the deal. My 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 previous broker, when I was at Remax, told me something profound that I kept to my heart, which was, if you have listings, you have buyers. So I focused on listings from 2009, no, 2007, all the way up until this day, because I value my time. And today, I mean, I still fish a few times a week out in the lakes and rivers of California. And so, and this is important because a lot of us, we have other businesses, and 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 all the businesses that I do is according to real estate. Okay, so everything is around it. I don't want to, like, have some totally different industry, because that just makes my time, it stretches me out too far. Okay, so CEOs focus on areas like lead gen, conversion, client experience, and systems and leverage. I think the leverage part is something that I've been focused on early on. I've had an assistant since 2007. So, and like I said, when I was a full-time dad, I dropped her off, picked her up, dropped her off, picked her up, been a chaperone in the school, at her school. And because that was important to me. I was a single full-time dad. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't hire babysitters. My daughter went with me to my appointments. She did. She went with me to the office. And that was the way it was. I didn't care what the broker said at the time. It didn't matter. I didn't care what my client said. That's just the way it was. And so, yeah, so time and so leverage. I had an assistant since the beginning, a few years after. All right, the ideal work concept. If you don't design your week, someone else will, and clients will fill your time. Okay. Random tasks will take over. Income producing work gets pushed back. Control your week before it controls you. Income first. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. This is where I excel, because this is where the income activities really matter, and that's in lead generation, follow-ups, appointments, and negotiation. This is just really where it is. And lead generation, if you could learn how to create leads, then you don't have to be literally like begging for the deal, because you always have leads, right? I mean, when I was bringing in, I don't know, 60,000 views on my personal website back in 2010 or so, I mean, I had so much business. It was crazy. And that was just my website. And back then, they didn't have any of these lead gen systems back then. They had probably Op City, if you ever heard of it. and but nothing like it is today. And it's just there's a lot of lead gen products out there. If you haven't gotten onto the Empowered Agents Network Facebook page, I posted there like all the free lead gen systems out there. You literally just sign up for them. Yes, they're going to get a percent, but at least you get a lot of leads from them. And of course, you got to understand what online leads look like and what the steps are, because working online leads is like you're going to get a lot of conversations, lots of emails, lots of texts, and you got to funnel through that. And the better you could funnel and go through them, the better, right? I mean, if you had, let's say, 10 leads coming in a day, and out of the 10, you get maybe one conversation. And that conversation could be like, hey, I seen this property in San Francisco. I want to take a look at it. Wow, that's pretty vague, right? So the better you know how to convert these people, then the easier it is. But now if you had like 100 coming in a day, and then now that's in one month, you'll have 3,000 leads, and out of 3,000, you should be able to work something out there. Of course, having 3,000 conversations in 1 month is definitely a task. But if you know how to talk and qualify these people and have automation work for you, then you see that's what I mean. I didn't really work my online leads like that, because I worked on my sphere. From the beginning of my business, I worked on sphere, and which was referral, because when you're doing listings, you have to have credibility with those that are giving you a listing. And that's just really the reality of that. So I sold a bunch of homes in the beginning of my career. And then after I sold all those homes, then they were ready to sell their home and move up. And so I started with that batch of people, but I kept working on how to get listings. And I worked on people who have influence in the industry. I worked with older folks because they're the ones owning the property, owning homes. And so my client base is 55 years and up to 100-year-olds. So I just sort of kept my box of who my prospects are. But if for you, if you're working buyers, which is great, you can make a lot more money working with buyers. So anyways, lead generation, there's plenty of lead generation programs out there. A good follow-up is super important. And a follow-up, not necessarily you need to talk a lot. You could just, like, when you get leads and the conversation is so, you just need a follow-up. And that's where your automation comes in. And then when they start really qualifying themselves, like really say, hey, can you send me your pre-approval? They send it to you. Well, then that right there really shows a lot where the client is, right? If they say, yeah, here's my pre-approval, now I'm on them. Those are not any more automation. These are now I'm calling and texting them and following up with them on a daily basis, because they just showed they are willing and ready to buy. And another way I qualify people on the follow-up is I ask them to meet me at the coffee shop or at the office, which for us, we're at a cloud company called EXP. So we have remote offices all over. I'll have them meet me there, because if they're willing to get in their car, meet me for a face-to-face, that tells me a lot. Okay. So those are ways I qualify, because I can't meet all 3,000 people, for example, right? So, and then you make the appointment. So that's the money-making activities. Those are the ones you need to focus on. The websites, business cards, colors, logos, those are important, but not really that important. You could worry about that during the later in the week when you have downtime, like in the middle of the night. Okay. All right, the 3 buckets. Well, structure your week like a CEO. Okay, first, you want to be doing money-making activities, like I was saying, prospecting, follow-ups, appointments. We just talked about that. Operations, which is contracts, admin, CRM updates. And this is where your assistant, your leverage comes in, because if you could have your virtual assistant, your admin, your CRM help you with your CRM, then this 20% here could be delivered to given to your admin, and so you have 20% more time. And then same with the growth. This could be all created, the content creation, everything. Of course, we have to be part of the content creation, but let's say you save 30% of your time dedicated to yourself and family, right? And that's just the way I look at it. So I like to just really get all of my appointments, all of my money-making activities added away, because that's just like every day when I wake up in business every day, which I would just really focus on clients, making a contact. And whether that's I'm building my organization, recruiting agents, or selling to my clients, helping my wife build her success lending business, 60% of my time is done in building and following and lead generating. Okay. And if you have a job and you're working part-time or full-time, well, when you're working your real estate, I really want you to focus, I'd say around 80% of your time on money-making activities. And that's just contacting. Real simple. If it's a friend from high school, you say, hey, it's been a long time. I'm just calling, okay? Not emailing. I'm calling. You could use text, but calling is still preferable, especially if they're an older crowd. If they're a younger crowd, maybe texting, but calling is it's a good habit to have, okay? So a lot of prospecting, just a lot of conversation. But when you have the conversation, you just need to be straight and say, hey, by the way, this is a business call. You don't want to be talking for an hour. Hey, how's the dog? How's your mom? How's everything? No, the first few, right when you get on the phone, it should be, hey, this is a business call. I have a few minutes. I just wanted to follow up with you. How's everything? How's the dog? How's the wife? Okay, great. And then you guide that conversation right into, hey, I got something else to do in 10 minutes, but if you or somebody is planning to buy or sell real estate, please let me know. I'd appreciate it. I know it's been a long time we haven't talked, but I really have some big goals this 2026, and if you could be a part of it, that'll be great. I'm just asking if you know somebody, or if you or your parents or somebody's doing some planning to do some real estate, please let me know. Basically, a natural conversation. You don't have to be all fancy. And the more conversations you have like that, you get really good at just having business conversation talk, and then that's it. The problem with people is they just talk too much and they're not talking about the right conversation, and they don't lead the conversation into real estate. And once you really become known as that person, then they already know, like, oh, okay, she's in real estate. And I know she's calling maybe about real estate. Oh, I need a market update on my house, right? If someone says no, that just means not now, right? Because who buys and sells a house every month? Nobody, unless if you're an investor, right? So somebody usually their average real estate transactions in 1 year in a lifetime, or maybe 2-3 deals a year in a lifetime. So if a person has 2 to 3 deals in a lifetime, you have to be there in those big milestone parts of their life. And the only way to do that is through automation and follow-up. And of course, you can't follow up on every call unless if you have a good sphere, right? If you have a good sphere, then a lot of the people in your calendar, like I only have like 360 folks that are really strong in my database, but I have a 6,000 people in my database. But out of the 6,000, it's only 360 or so. Anyways, let's move on here. Time blocking system, super important. We just went over quite a bit of this: lead gen, appointments, admins, marketing, personal and family. This is where your time blocking is. I do a lot of time blocking. I spend a lot of time with my family. I spend a lot of time by myself. I do a bunch of fishing. Like I said, 3 times a week, especially during the fishing season. Like right now, I'm out in this lake, that lake, here, there. And while I'm on the boat, I'm on the phone too. I mean, it's not like I'm out fishing, I'm boating during the week and I'm not working. No, I mean, I choose a place where I could get a signal and enjoy. I have a headset on and I'm good, right? So time blocking is super important. If you have a family, you have another job, you have another business, time blocking is super important, but you cannot. This is non-negotiable, okay? Lead generation. All right, weekly structure. Here is just a theme. Mondays, pipeline and follow-ups. Tuesdays, lead gen and appointments. Wednesday, marketing and content. Thursday, appointments and deals. Fridays, admin and planning. Weekends, is just by design, open house or family time. You gotta protect your time. Super important, right? Boundaries, growth, and set clients' expectation early. Use scheduling tools. Don't be always available. I mean, I try my best to accommodate my clients, but if I'm out, I'm out. And the good thing is I train my clients to be on Zoom. Some newer clients, I like to meet in person. And if if they're a little bit demanding, then I have to be understanding. But I really prioritize what I do and how I do things. If y'all don't know me, I'm here, Northern California in the foothills. I'm in the East Bay. I'm in Daly City, San Francisco, San Mateo. So I'm in 1 week. I'm flowing. It depends on what area I'm at. If I'm at the ranch, if I'm in the Bay Area, if I'm in Daly City, because that's where I have an office. So, anyways, professional agents have structure, not chaos. And the way to do that is you build a good lead gen system. Because if you build a good lead gen system, then you're not chasing, right? You're having good conversations and productive ones. Leverage and systems. Stop doing everything yourself. CRM automation, transaction coordinator, virtual assistants, templates, and workflows. Free your time to focus on income. Okay. So if you need help on this, my assistant, if you haven't met her already, her name is Betsy. She helps agents on Wednesdays. And if you need help during the other days, no problem. You just have to let me know. But I really set her up for Wednesdays, because Wednesdays I have other meetings and leadership meetings. I'm sorry, leadership meetings. And so while I'm busy doing that, she could help other agents. I like to ask her to help you guys on CRM, laying the foundation, because once you lay the foundation, you're not chasing as much, and in a few years, you could have a business that's CEO level, right? You're not chasing the clients are chasing you. I mean, 80 to 90% of my business is all referral, because, I put leverage and I put systems in my business. As far as all the transactions I do, my transaction coordinator, I've been doing business with for over 10 years. She's amazing. She is not near me, but it doesn't matter because she's efficient and she's amazing. She has a license, so she knows what she's doing. She could make contracts for you, etc. So anyways, if you don't have a good transaction coordinator, please get one. But if you haven't done transactions personally, I don't suggest you get a transaction coordinator, because if you haven't done transactions and you don't know the paperwork, you definitely don't want to delegate and get yourself a transaction coordinator, because you wouldn't know if your transaction coordinator is doing a good job or not, because you're not even familiar with the paperwork. Okay, so make sure you understand your paperwork first and then get a transaction coordinator. All right, well, let's move on here. The 80-20 rule: focus on what produces results. And like I said earlier, 80% of your time. even if you have a part-time, full-time job, another business, focus your time on income producing activities. And that's just lead gen, appointments, proper conversations. Double down on, there we go, conversations, follow-ups, appointments, reduce that busy busy work. Tools to win. Well, Google Calendar, we all have that. CRM follow-ups, that's the automation I was talking about. Calendly, if you're super busy, you could just, if you don't know what Calendly is, you could put the times you are available to take appointments, and they could just click it and make an appointment with you right there. And task managers, I mean, it's really exciting. I have a staff that is working with Claude. If you have heard of AI Claude, well, that's really taking things to another level. And a lot of people don't know about the Claude, where it's not just ChatGPT, but it's another level. And so we'll be getting into that more in the next few months, because I want, I have someone creating AI agents for every part of my business, and it's pretty scary. So I'll like literally have, for every department, I'm going to have an AI working even when I'm asleep. Pretty crazy. But your ideal week exercise, build your schedule now. So block income activities, add appointments, add admin time, add personal time. So design it before the week starts. Okay, so you can just grab a piece of paper or even just your calendar, and you just put in there prospecting, lead gen. If you're doing real estate full time, then you do it from 9 to 11 every day. If you could do that, you should sell real estate every day. If you have a job and you're too busy, then you can go ahead and schedule in the evening, right? 7 to 9, you're prospecting right after dinner. And you do that, and then from there, from 9 to 10, you're just inputting some of the data, taking notes, inputting it into your database. And you do that because if you're working full time or you have another business, you could do this still. This is not rocket science. You're just contacting people. So in closing, you don't need more time. You need a better structure. And that's really the reality. And I'm here trying to help you become a better business owner. Because if you're treating this real estate business like a hobby, then don't expect any great results. Because I know a lot of people, they just do this when they can. And doing it when they can is really not being serious about real estate. If you want to make real money in real estate, you got to think about this day and night. I think about real estate day and night. I think about building a portfolio day and night, because I'm at a part in my real estate career where I'm now building an organization. I do sales because I built a system that just keeps on coming in, a system that just keeps coming in, right? And so now that I have a system that just feeds me sales, now I can focus on building an organization, building my retirement, building and getting homes, getting apartment buildings, getting commercial real estate. So that's just where it is. I'm just designing now the end of my life. Not that I'm not active in real estate. I do it every day, 7 days a week. But anyways, just want to thank you for coming on this Monday. I'm just at a different location today. I don't have my camera, my equipment. That's why I have my iPhone headset on. But until next time, I hope everyone had a great week. Make it productive. So
Real estate
talk
head.
with you guys later.
Tingnan na yan.